You're listening to Captain John Doe. Real aviation stories told anonymously. Let's get into it.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Captain John Doe podcast.
Heyo.
I'm your host, Kevin.
And I'm Mindy.
And I think we got some fun ones for you today. But before we get started, isn't there something cool that you got to do recently, Min?
I mean, flying around here anywhere is cool to me because this terrain is very different from Florida. And learning
We've been
all
talking
of it.
a lot about terrain lately, haven't we?
I know.
Terrain.
Well,
Heat, right?
So new for us, but it's cooled off, which means we have been flying our airplane Mojo, a 1957 Cessna 182A. Been flying it so much more because now I can fly it and the engine is not over-temping and I am not feeling like a bad parent.
Like a bad parent. That's funny. Yeah, I mean, it's been great because when we moved here in March, so the weather was okay then, but we were moving. We were unpacking, getting into our jobs and everything. And then summer came around and we had a little bit more time, but we couldn't fly.
Right.
Now it's go time. Mojo has fuel in her at all times because we're flying at least once a week now, and it feels good to be back, doesn't it?
Totally. So I recently took the plane out for a little rip with the girls.
Or rip for the girls, right? Kevin was not invited to this one.
No, you weren't. I flew Mojo with my friend Alex. She's one of my friends and also the director of marketing for NBAA. And I'll be honest, I don't know when this episode is coming out. So at this point, we have done our live show at NBAA base in Las Vegas.
I'm so excited for us.
I'm so excited for us too. And I'm so excited for future us to tell you guys all about it. So the plan is to record that episode. Maybe it's out. Maybe it's not. I'm not really sure. But anyways, me and my friend Alex from NBAA, we hopped in Mojo and flew to St. George, Utah, which is southern Utah. It was about an hour flight. Took off in the morning sunrise. It was gorgeous. Flew over Hoover Dam, over Lake Mead into Utah and landed. That was her first time in a small airplane. So it's always really refreshing to take someone new up. You get to do that a lot.
Yes. I mean, realistically, at least once a week. And it is really awesome to see that first, like, they all do the same thing. They make the same face and then the same gasp, like, whoa, my gosh, we're flying. And then they get a little scared, then nervous and excited and all the emotions, right?
Yeah, Alex did amazing. She wasn't scared at all. She's freaking awesome. So, but yeah, it was, I haven't taken someone new in my airplane in a while. Shame on me, but it's been a minute since I've had someone brand new in the plane. And it reminded me how much I love doing that and how much I love teaching and explaining the way things go. I love taking care of people. I love showing them all the things and what I'm doing. And I really bring people into the pilot experience when I take friends that have never gone before, because I think that's important for how they can get comfortable for a couple of reasons. Because if you're explaining everything as you go to a new passenger, they are instantly understanding that you are knowledgeable, creditable, and you are qualified to do this. Obviously, she knows I'm a pilot, but she's never flown with me before, and I'm sure that's scary getting in a small aircraft with a friend. You know, that's just, it's a strange experience. Like, that's not a common thing. So the more I explain, the more I can almost prove to her or whatever passenger that I am an expert at this. And I really suggest other people to do that. Reason two why I do that is it really puts those people at comfort. They're going to be anxious to go flying a small airplane for the first time. Or maybe it's not their first time. Maybe it's their first time with you, or that first time in that type of aircraft. So I always explain things before I do them. So before I turn off autopilot, I say, hey, you're going to hear some beeping. That's me turning off the autopilot. Or I'm going to say, hey, we're coming in to land now. Do you see the runway? It's at our 12 o'clock. See that mountain just to the right of it? They're like, yeah. Okay, we're going to fly over it. And then we're going to make a left-hand turn. And then we're going to swing in and land pointing the opposite way. Okay. And then they understand, like, they're not caught off guard by any of the turns you're going to make at low level, because that's going to be an anxious time for them. And then we're beam the numbers and we say, hey, I'm about to pull the power back. You're going to hear the engine get a lot quieter. That's me. Because when people hear any engine noise change in a small plane, generally they freak out, right?
Yeah, generally. Do you guys listen to how she's talking? She trained me, by the way. And it paid off. I never thought I'd be an instructor, but everything you just heard Mindy said is all imparted on me. And I do this weekly, I just told you. And I do the same thing, not because I made it up, but because my CFI, a lot of you guys are sharing stories about your CFI experiences. My CFI taught me that when I was learning. And it's awesome. And, you learn that too by being a demo pilot.
Yeah,
right?
I learned how to do it because I only flight instructed for about 2 or 3 months before I got picked to go to Textron Aviation, sell aircraft for them. Part of that job was me being a demo pilot, rated on all of our piston lines. So that's the Cessna 172 up through the Beechcraft Baron. And what I learned is on demo flights is I'm not flight instructing. I have to not fully take that hat off, but majority. It's more of an aircraft checkout of look what this plane can do versus let me teach you how to land. So I really had to change my mentality of how I speak to people. And then as I was doing demos, I realized, taking the spouses up or taking someone up who's a student pilot or who hasn't started training yet, just all walks of life, really appreciated when I took the extra time to explain what was going on. And I've kept that. And I think it makes me a better pilot for it. It makes me think ahead. I'm always ahead of the airplane. I think I'm pretty good about that most days. And that's because if I have passengers, I am talking out loud. And with videotaping, I video for YouTube. So if you haven't checked that out, go to my @Schmindy YouTube channel and you can see a lot of our flights there, including this one I'm talking about. And that's another way that I stay ahead of the airplane because I'm talking to viewers, I'm talking to the cameras, and I am 3 steps ahead of the airplane. So I think it makes you a good pilot and makes your passengers really nice and comfy. So those are some tips, but so we went to St. George, Utah, rented a car, drove into Zion National Park, and
becoming our second home.
Our gorgeous park. That's just outside the Las Vegas area. It's a quick drive as well, but who wouldn't want to fly, right? So we flew in, and then our other friends, Steph and Kinsey, they flew in as well from a different airport in Las Vegas and met us there. So the 4 girls flew 2 planes in, rented a car together. We all drove into Zion. We had lunch, and then we did some hiking for the day, and then flew back home, and we were home before dinner.
Awesome.
That's general aviation, baby.
Awesome. Sweet. Well, we are not a current event podcast, but at the time of this recording, the government is shut down. So where I'm going with this is with our ATC listeners, if you got any fun stories that are going on during this shutdown,
oh no,
we would love to hear them. Send them in honestly. You guys want to talk? I know Reddit is always hot and heavy with it, but if you're listening, send us some stuff.
Vent.
We'll read it.
We've been through it.
Been through it. Tell us what type of food you were getting in. Some crazy stuff. Tell us how it's going. We'll read your story and it's anonymous. So send it in. We'll be your vessel.
So for reference, if you're not following, the government shutdown is happening as we are recording this, which means government employees are not getting paid. And some government employees are still forced to go to work, like our air traffic controllers. So right now they are showing up every single day and they are not getting paid, which is crazy. Crazy.
Yep. And we've done this before. So like I said, we're not a current event podcast, but I do want to hear your stories.
So you mentioned food. Why are you talking about food?
Well, what does everybody do when they want to be nice? Food. So during the last shutdown when I worked back in 2019, it was something like 30 days long.
It was a long shutdown. That's when we were in Georgia, right?
It was in Georgia. And every single day, a different airline, a different organization brought unbelievable amount of food.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it was great. It was because what are you supposed to do? We come to work, controllers, TSA, Border Patrol, military, they're all in the same boat. They all come to work because they're
required.
They're required. And also, like, there's some moral compass there, too, right? Like, you want to do your job. And we're talking about ATC. I never worked anything else, but, like, it's impactful to our controllers. Like, they want to be professional. So they might be at home cussing out loud and, you know, biting on Reddit, but at work, that's not happening.
Yeah.
So
controllers are freaking awesome. I will just say all the controllers in our life that I've met and that we've been encountering, so awesome.
So if you guys are listening and you're controllers, send us some stories then. Then we'll do it.
CaptainJohnDoe.com, stay anonymous. And while you're on your phone right now sending us an awesome story, make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Leave us a review. That is the most helpful thing you can do to us. So we would love if you did that. Hit the 5-star. You don't even have to write words if you don't want to, but it really helps us on our end to keep this thing going.
All right. So we got something fun today. So we have 2 stories. Well, I shouldn't say it that way. We have 2 perspectives of the same story.
Yeah, this was a great idea. So to our Captain John and Jane Doe that wrote this in, freaking fantastic idea.
Wherever you are, we love you.
There's one story, but the husband and wife sent each of their perspectives of this story, which is such a freaking great idea. So Kevin's going to read the husband's perspective. I am going to read the wife's perspective because that just makes sense, guys. So why don't you hit us with your side?
I'm just going to read it how they said it. All right. Here we go. All right. He starts with, me and my wife are going to submit the same story, but from 2 different perspectives. And he said, I really hope Kevin reads mine and Mindy reads my wife, which we're doing. Done.
Consider it done.
He said it wasn't funny when it happened, but now it's pretty funny.
I love marriage stories that start with that line. How many stories could we think of where it wasn't funny at the time, but now we can laugh at it? I could think of a couple.
All right.
Okay.
So we're flying our RV6 from Salt Lake City to Redding, California to go see a good friend for a long weekend. It was right around June 23rd, my birthday. So
did he type it like
he typed it like that?
Birthday.
A birthday. So summer flying in the West, as you guys know now, can get pretty bumpy. As we made our way over the mountains in Nevada, getting closer to California, I could feel more and more mountain wave and thermic action. Thermic action. Wow. I would have said thermal activity, buddy, but thermic action's fun too. So thermic action, but what was weird was the rhythm of the bumps was perfect for disaster. I began to see towering clouds right by Mount Shasta, just north of Redding. So I figured, let's stop at Susanville and rest, get fuel, and then keep going. As we got lower, the turbulence got worse, and now 15 minutes out, I noticed my wife getting sick into her little sick sack and just staring out at the horizon trying to get relief. By now, I'm starting to feel queasy. So I'm thinking, if I slow down, the bumps won't be as bad. But every second counts. I'm descending at like 150 knots, and by the time we're flying inside a washing machine, and I can see the airport. I'm not slowing down. And now I'm on downwind, make my calls in between wet burps, and my stomach is churning. The wife is still looking out. I call turn and final. iPad yells, 500, and burp again.
Ew.
Except now my cheeks are full. I have one hand on the stick and one hand on the throttle, and I can't speak, so I start to nudge my wife with my right elbow. She eventually looks over to see why I'm nudging her and sees my cheeks. She quickly grabs her bag and brings it to my mouth as another burp is building in my stomach. With the bumps, it was hard for her to aim the bag right into my mouth, so one burp pushes what's in my mouth out, and it goes everywhere right as the wheels touch down. Believe it or not, it was a great landing. Ha! Yeah. We park as far as we could from the FBO, shut down, and we just look at each other covered in my puke and said, what the fook just happened? And he spelled it, fook.
I love this guy's typing.
By sheer luck, right behind the parking spot was a water spigot, so we cleaned ourselves as best as we could and changed clothes right there on the ramp and called it for the day. Our friend immediately got on the road from Redding, drove 2 hours to pick us up. So while we waited, We grabbed the crew car and went to the local Walmart and bought all kinds of cleaning supplies and detailed the inside of the plane.
That's hilarious. I'm not going to react to it yet, though, because I am going to immediately hit you with the wife's perspective.
Bring it on.
My husband and I were on a road trip listening to your podcast when he suggested we submit a story about one of our most memorable flights. He came up with an idea that we'd each write our version of the story and send it in. I haven't read his, but here is my non-pilot version. One of our friends invited us to visit him at the lake. Too far to drive, commercial wasn't an option, so we decided to take our airplane. I've learned a lot about mountain flying, or passengering, since moving from the East Coast to the Western U.S. The bumps out here are so different. I feel a little nauseous on most flights, but it's usually very manageable. Usually is the operative word for this story. It was my husband's birthday. So we had a little coffee house breakfast and took off for a quick and easy flight to California. We were an hour from our destination when he told me there was weather ahead. There wasn't a safe way around it, so he diverted to the nearest airport. We hoped to land before we ran into any of the storm, but this storm snuck right up on us. I still don't know how to describe what I felt that day. It wasn't regular turbulence. It was inner ear assault. The nausea came on fast and hit hard. I threw up. He threw up. Some moments bring you closer in marriage, completely against your will and with absolutely disgusting detail. This was one of those. Thankfully, the airport was in sight. It was almost over. Right? It's got to be almost over. I felt another wave of nausea hit. I used all the motion sickness tricks in the book, but nothing helped. I closed my eyes and waited to feel the touchdown. Instead, I felt a nudge from my husband. I opened my eyes and we're on final. I look at him trying to figure out what's going on. He isn't talking. He looks like he needs me to do something, but he's landing an airplane. I can't land an airplane. We are playing charades, and I'm really bad at charades. About 2 seconds too late, it hit me. Solved the puzzle. He's about to throw up. On final, while landing the airplane. I scrambled to get a sick bag and hold it up for him. I was about a second too slow, and I raised my hand just in time for him to throw up all over my arm, himself, the entire instrument panel, and anything else forward of his face. Shortly after we touched down, we taxied as far as from people as we could and climbed out. Seems like we might not be the first people to need a hose down after arrival. They had a hose hooked up right where we parked. It's incredibly convenient if you land and need a little runway shower. We hosed down everything that had been in the line of fire. We got ourselves cleaned up, changed clothes, took the infamous crew car into town to buy biohazard decontamination supplies like baby wipes, air fresheners, deodorizers, carpet cleaner, etc. The weather wasn't clearing, so our friend drove 2 hours to pick us up. When he arrived, we had garbage bags of laundry and airplane carpets. We stuffed it in the trunk of his car, headed to his house to meet his wife for the very first time. Hi, nice to meet you. You have a lovely home. Can we please wash our vomit laundry in your washer? We have not spoken of that day to anyone but each other and a small handful of friends. And now the entire internet. The most important thing I learned from this story, and I cannot stress this enough, is, hey, they make sick bags with wide mouth tops. I bought a pack of 100.
Oh my gosh. So 2 points. One, thank you for submitting this. That way everybody can hear it. Because that is great. Number 2, buddy, your wife's point of view is amazing.
So good.
Like
she's a fantastic writer.
So good.
I could tell by the way she writes.
Also, we would be friends with them.
I was just about to say that.
I was like, you would be best friends with her.
I was just going to say, by the way she writes, I know I would be friends.
I could just tell they're also our age, too, for somehow. I don't know how you can see that in the like the way they write.
Just by how funny it is.
That's awesome. Also, like, nailing the landing while puking. I don't know anyone who's ever done that before. Also, didn't know you need wide mouth sick bags.
Yeah, I don't even know really what that means. And we have the regular ones in our airplane just in case someone with us, but I've never imagined me needing it. Have you?
No, I don't think we've ever got sick before.
Oh God, knock on wood.
But I mean, there's always a time, right?
Yeah, and they're right. The bumps out here do hit different.
They hit. They hit hard.
Speaking of Zion, me and Kevin were flying in our aircraft to Zion a couple weeks ago. Same flight route that I just did the other day with my friends. And we hit a brick wall of turbulence. It was smooth until it wasn't.
It was not.
We were on autopilot, cruising, talking, having a good old time, and then hit a brick wall, it felt like.
Definitely was a wall of something. You know, we just stopped pretty much.
Well, the airplane freaked out as well as us. Our headsets flew off. Our heads hit the ceiling.
The window popped open.
The window pops open. So imagine like your noise canceling headset falls off and the window opens at the same time, how loud that is and discombobulating. It's like, whoa, what's happening? It feels like you are in a bad catastrophe.
You know what I just thought of? Like when we first got Mojo, most of the comments that you would get routinely was about our lap belt. Because when we purchased the aircraft, it was in its original condition and there was no shoulder harness. And we had so many people just constantly telling us we need to get a shoulder harness. And we're like, oh, we get it. Money, right?
Yeah.
And like finally we committed to it. And I just thought of like, what the heck would happen if we didn't have it?
Yeah.
Like out here now, the flying we do out here requires you to be strapped.
Yeah.
Like locked into the seat.
Yeah, no, I agree. Everybody needs a shoulder harness. The primary reason people told us to get it is, hey, in the off chance you have an off airport landing because there's an emergency and you're on rough terrain, you don't want your face to hit your instrument panel and that be what takes you out. Because by God, you got the airplane on the ground and that's what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. So you need those shoulder harnesses to keep you, with your seat. But
you know how you see like commercials of like car manufacturers testing all conditions, rain, snow, sleet, whatever. Do you think airplane manufacturers test puke on the dash?
No, but hey, Garmin,
didn't think about that.
Make a little puke plate.
It's like that insurance. We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two.
Yeah. So when I was hearing your story and now reading hers, thinking about someone projectile vomiting in the cockpit has got to be worst case scenario. I have heard of a lot of passenger vomit stories.
Sure.
And usually that's in a bag, in the back cabin, in the back seat. This is truly the first time I've ever heard about a pilot that's actively flying and the only pilot on board that's puking.
Yeah, and it seems like the wheels touching the ground was that last little just blurp that needed to happen.
But so now I am unfortunately envisioning a massive amount of vomit just in the plane in general. The smell when they opened up the doors would have been atrocious. First of all,
what do you think they had for lunch?
Disgusting. Hopefully
some
not
fish.
Why do we always say the same thing? But I'm thinking about him vomiting on the instrument panel. If I vomited on Mojo's panel, our airplane's panel, I would cry. I would be so sad because how do you get that out of all the nooks and crannies and like the edge of the screen where it's hardly cleanable.
She's going to wear it as a badge of honor, man.
No, that would be disgusting. If you vomited over Mojo's panel, I would never let you in the airplane again. Banned.
The hypocrisy here.
Banned
forever.
Disgusting. But really, how do you clean that out?
I don't know. It seems like they did their best.
I think you would be like having to use toothpicks. I'm thinking we have GI 275s, which are these round screens that go on our panel. And there's like a lip on it on the inside where it goes behind the panel. I'm just thinking about how hard that would be to there would be vomit in the plane forever.
I want you to think about this for the next 3 weeks.
That's so bad.
Great story, guys.
That was a fantastic story. I want more husband, wife, or even both people that were at a scenario get both perspectives because that's freaking hilarious.
You know what I'm going to do? Instead of sharing the next story, I'm going to talk about our husband and wife training that we had.
That's hilarious. Whenever I said I can think of one story that wasn't funny at the time and now it's funny.
Yeah.
Does this make me look bad though?
No, because
I know what story you're going to tell.
Yeah. I mean, it was real. All right, we're going to set the stage. Guys out there,
Scared for this to be out there.
Imagine your wife teaching you something, or girls out there, imagine your husband teaching you something. Let's use golf as an example. All right. You're not going to listen to your spouse. You're going to get frustrated with your spouse. Setting the stage, right?
Yeah, well, and then put yourself in a much more high intensity environment than golf and call it aviation.
So with that being said, we had ground rules. Like, we knew this was going to happen.
Everyone told us, looked at me, because I was a CFI, a flight instructor. Kevin said he wants to learn to fly. I said, I'll teach you. And we started telling people, I'm going to teach Kevin how to fly. Every single person looked at me and said, do you want your husband to be a pilot or do you want a divorce? Like, because you will separate over this.
And here's the thing, Mindy and I have a great relationship. So we're like, if anyone can overcome it, it can be us. So like I said, we set ground rules. Like, when we're in the cockpit, you're PIC, like, you're in charge of the plane. Yes. You need to listen to instruction to learn.
And guess who forgot that?
I don't know who you're talking about.
You forgot the rule that you just so proudly said to the internet.
Exactly.
You forgot the rule a lot. So the rule, as Kevin explained, was we are not husband and wife in the airplane. There's no like marriage hierarchy or whatever, if that even exists. I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say. But the dynamic in the cockpit is I am in charge. I am the captain. And I am the instructor. You must listen to me, even if you disagree. You don't get to say, I don't think so, or I want to do it this way, because would you, if you were taking flight lessons at some other flight school and you got assigned to CFI, is that how you would react to that person? No, you wouldn't. You would respect them and you would have boundaries. And that's what I said we need to do. You need to look at me as if you do not know me.
So what we learned throughout this experiment is there was some hazardous attitudes at risk.
Kevin, you had all 5. Maybe even a 6th one.
But the funny thing is now I can resonate with that. And to be fair, let's jump ahead a little bit. This was initial training. Once I got past the private, our relationship in the cockpit definitely got better. There was still times it struggled, but up until like solo and private, this dynamic was difficult for me, and I didn't understand why, because this is my best friend teaching me how to fly. It should be fun, but it was not that
No fun was had.
No fun was had. So a specific training event, we lived on a grass strip in Georgia, and we had Mojo, and it was extraordinarily fun.
Wait, was this in Mojo or Dreamsicle? I thought it was in Dreamsicle.
I was in Dreamsicle. It wasn't, and there was another Mojo incident, obviously.
Oh, I'm thinking back to Dreamsicle. So we had an aircraft before Mojo that was named Dreamsicle. It was a Cub Crafter Sport Cub, a little tailwheel aircraft, and we were living on a grass strip at the time. Grass strip was a very tough one too. It was plenty long. I want to say it was like 3,000 or 4,000 feet.
It was 3,000.
3,000.
Anyways, that was my first time ever trying to fly.
But okay, last thing. It was surrounded by 100-foot trees. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so, great idea, Kevin. Let's learn how to fly in a tailwheel on a grass strip with 100-foot high trees. But I'm with an extremely experienced pilot who I trust more than anybody in the world. So we tried it. And I really struggled with the whole tailwheel thing. That wasn't necessarily like the part that caused the riff.
Oh, I don't even care about that.
She didn't care about that. Like we were working through it. Once the wheels, all 3 were on the ground anytime, I was struggling, but we were working through it. So one time we came in, we were doing pattern work, and I believe I come into land and it was very unstable, and I'm fully on the stick, and you're like, my control. And I don't know what happened in my brain or what, but I didn't release control. And you're like, my control, my airplane, you're trying to take over, and like something there just blacked out. And I don't know if it was the dynamic of relationship or a dynamic of a new student pilot freezing up.
My blood is starting to boil thinking about this. We shouldn't be doing this without a therapist present.
But the biggest problem at the end of the day, because she eventually got control of the airplane and took over. But when we landed and debriefed, as we always did, we went over it. And I remember telling her, I didn't do that. I was like, all that resignation. I was like, I didn't do that. What are you talking about? Like, it was blah, 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 blah. And the next thing out of her mouth was, it will always stay with me because I think this made me into the pilot I am today, is she said, you're not flying again until you figure out what's going on. So she literally grounded me, not because of how I was like,
I don't care if
progressing or whatever.
Yeah.
It was how I acted in the debrief. And
and during that approach.
Yeah. And during that. And like that, like we've never shared that story like publicly because I'm not embarrassed of it because I own up to it now. And that learning experience that she literally grounded me from our airplane until I figured out what was causing the problem.
Well, no, until you figured out your attitude, like until you can respect me in the cockpit. When I say my controls and you instantly take those hands off the controls, I do not feel safe being your instructor. And
that changed everything, honestly.
I'm sure that hit hard to hear that. Me saying, I do not feel safe flying with you, because that's what I said. Because we've joked on the podcast because there was a similar story like this. And I said, if that was me, I'd punch that person in the face. I'm not going to punch my husband in the face.
No, but you grounded me.
Also, we were tandem, so that would be really difficult. I would have to somehow just choke you out from behind.
So, moral of the story is when you are teaching your spouse, you have to lay the ground rules and then some, and then still expect
turbulence. Yeah.
So, like I said, we haven't shared that story before because it, puts me in a bad light, not you. Like, you did what was right.
I know, but
we're not like, you didn't do anything wrong. You did what was right, and it changed the trajectory of me as a pilot. Remember that.
I know, but in the small times we did share this to a handful of friends, you would jokingly say, during training, Mindy took the keys away from me for a couple weeks and grounded me. And I know it doesn't sound good of me doing that, but that was the reality. I needed space from the training environment, even if you didn't. I needed out of that, and I needed a break from trying to teach because I didn't know how to react and how to handle that at all. No one trains you for that. Even if you were a stranger, I don't know what I would have done. But you're a big guy. I could not take the controls over you. And we're at a really tricky strip, and I am my controls, and not giving it up. And I was like, I don't even know what to do right now. But it is a great learning moment. So if you want to teach your spouse something, maybe just don't.
Instead, when you do, send in the story to Captain John Doe Podcast, because we'd love to hear both perspectives, because you just heard my side and Mindy's side, and we have obviously came to the same conclusion, but it took a while.
Yeah.
This was not an overnight.
Let me end the story on a positive note that Kevin is a freaking fantastic pilot now. Could not feel better flying with him. I'm so relaxed to fly with him. I don't feel like being the more experienced one or having more hours or ratings. I don't feel like I have to watch him like a hawk. I can truly sit there and relax now, which is, we've come a long way, people.
Well, that's a testament to you. I'm only as good as my instructor. And I think that matters in my current job is, I'm a projection of you, and I teach my students through that trickle down effect of what I learned.
Yeah, and you're a great teacher. I've even hired you to teach me a little lately because you got the hang of our local environment so quickly because you were forced to. You fly several flights a day. And over summer, like we said, we weren't really flying a lot. I had only done 2 or 3 flights over summer period out of this area. So recently I said, hey, I want you to come up in Mojo with me and just really help me help like find the identifying landmarks around here. How do I do this scenario with local air traffic control? What's it like transitioning through the Bravo? You showed me that. How the Henderson controllers do this, this, and this. And you gave me all of your local knowledge. And it was beautiful. And I loved being your student. It was amazing.
Full circle.
Yeah. Now you literally signed my logbook. Like,
full circle.
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy. Wow. All right, I didn't think that we were going to go there, but it just like started making me think. Like, we'll share some more submissions.
That's the exact story I was thinking of when I said that comment earlier.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed that. A little bit of scope into our lives too, putting me on the hot seat, which from time to time that's going to happen. Maybe Mindy gets put on the hot seat on the future episode.
Nope. Those stories will be anonymous.
But please remember to like, subscribe, write a review because it really helps out. We want to keep these things rolling. These submissions are coming in. We need them to keep rolling though, because without it, this podcast goes away. And this is fun for both of us. I don't know if you guys can pick up on that on the end of the mic, but like we're reading these in real time and like it's hard for me not to laugh when you're sharing these.
Yeah, some of these stories are so good. You guys are understanding how to write in for the show now, and it's beautiful. You guys are doing beautiful work over there.
All right. Well, we will see you guys next Wednesday. So, peace.
See ya.
Thanks for flying with Captain John Doe. If you have a story to share, visit CaptainJohnDoe.com and stay anonymous. New episodes every Wednesday. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and tell your favorite crew members.